All right, come on in, y'all. Have a seat for me so we can get going. You're not required to sit, boys, girls. I mean, just for what it's worth. I mean, just throwing that out there. That's not something you had to do. But all right, so I need you guys to dial in for the next 30 minutes. Got a lot of information to share with you, and this is going to be stuff that you're going to have questions about, so I want to try to address those questions before you have them, okay? So this is about course registration for next year, or how on earth did I end up in this class, right? So there's a lot of things we're going to be talking about this meeting. First, what are your roles and responsibilities with course registration? There are certain things you need to do and that you need to take care of, and I want to make sure you know what those are. Second, I'm going to give you a little bit of guidance on how to pick classes for next year and highlight some important upcoming dates so you're aware of when those are. You should have on your chair in front of you, you should have a course catalog. That's the kind of thicker stapled packet there. You should have an elective options sheet, which is that green sheet of paper, and you should have a time inventory worksheet. Please take about 10 seconds right now and write your name at the top of all three of those things that you have. That's what you needed your writing utensil for. So please write your name on the course catalog, on the elective options sheet, and on the time inventory worksheet, please. And I'll go through what all those things are for in just a little bit. All right, so your responsibilities with course registration, what you need to make sure you do. Number one, take it seriously. You're going to be living next school year based on the choices you make now. So make sure you're choosing wisely, okay? Spend some time thinking about the choices you have. Excuse me, don't wait until the absolute last minute, just scribble something down, right? Make sure that you're looking at the big picture, not just individual classes. Look at the big picture. What do you still need for graduation, for example? Now, yesterday in your 30-minute study hall, you should have gotten a copy of your transcript right now. So in case you forgot what classes you've taken or have not taken, you should have that. That's why we gave that to you guys. Okay. So what do you still need for graduation? And I'm going to talk about the graduation requirements in just a second. What is your overall workload level going to look like? I know some of you take a lot of honors or AP classes, and maybe you can handle any one of those classes individually, but maybe the collection of all of them might be a bit too much. You've got to make that decision. So look at your overall workload. Are you participating in sports, clubs, drama, things like that outside of school or as part of Mount Bethel? How much time are they going to take, right? You want to factor that into your decision. Are you going to have a part-time job next year? And also, don't underestimate the amount of time it takes to do your college applications, right? You got to make sure you've got time that you're able to put into those to making them the best that they can be. Make sure you're choosing classes that you want to take, okay? Don't sign up for a class just because your friend signed up for it. Because as you know, a lot of classes have more than one section of that class. So like, I don't know, drawing, let's say. Well, there's more than one drawing class. So just because you and your friend both signed up for it doesn't mean you're actually going to be in the same class together, right? And then you're in a class like, well, I didn't want to be here. I only took it because, my friend wanted it. Well, now you're stuck. So make sure it's a class you're interested in, a class you actually want to take. Along those same lines, make sure you're choosing classes, not teachers. Teachers and the classes that they teach change from year to year. So just because a particular teacher taught a particular class this year doesn't mean that teacher's teaching it next year. They might be, but we don't know that yet. So you want to make sure you're choosing classes that you're interested in. And then make sure you're getting signed what needs to be signed. And I'll talk about that in just a little bit. Okay? And then lastly, make sure you turn in your stuff on time. So the way we build the schedule for the school, as rising seniors, you guys have highest priority because you only have one chance left to get whatever class it is that you're signing up for. You may have saved culinary arts for your senior year because you knew you wanted to take it, but I'm going to wait till senior year to take it. Okay, well, that's your last chance to get that class. So we're going to do our best to make sure that that happens, right? But if you don't turn your stuff in on time, you go all the way to the bottom of the pile. So it's rising seniors have first priority, then rising juniors, then rising sophomores, then the freshmen. But if you turn in your stuff late, you go all the way to the bottom. So make sure you turn it in on time so you don't lose the priority that you're supposed to have. Okay, AP and honors course contracts. For any AP or honors course that you are recommended to take and that you choose to register to take, you're going to receive a contract that has to then be signed by you and your parent. Okay, now those contracts are course specific. So for example, AP English, their contract will look different than, AP Psychology, for example, right? So they're course specific and they map out the expectations for that course in detail. Once you and your parents have signed that contract, you are in that class for a minimum of a semester, okay, no matter what. Now, this should not be new. You guys have seen these contracts before. So here, for example, is AP English Literature. I don't expect you to read the whole thing from where you're sitting right now, but make sure you look in particular in that middle part there. That's where the course expectations are listed, right? So if you're wanting to take AP English Lit, you can expect to spend about 3 to 5 hours per week. That's outside of class, okay? Which will include 2 summer reading novels with assignments, quizzes about every 1 to 2 weeks, timed essays every 1 to 2 weeks, a minimum of 3 academic analytical essays a semester, and independent reading outside of class. So there you go. That's what's involved if that's a course you're interested in taking, right? So we're just trying to be as transparent as we can with you guys about, hey, this is what you're signing up for, right? That's the whole purpose of these contracts, right? So where do you get a contract? Well, if it's a core course, so like, English, math, social studies, you'll get that when you get your registration form. It'll just be paper clipped to your registration form, assuming you were recommended for the class, right? Now, if it's another course, maybe it's like AP Art or something like that, that's not a core subject, then you'll get the contract from that teacher when you sign up for the course, because you'll have to get their signature on it anyway, right? Okay. That time inventory worksheet that you have, this is not something you have to turn into us, but it is something we want you to take some time to do. Okay, so on the left-hand side there, excuse me, you're just listing all of the commitments that you have. So starting with spiritual commitments, maybe you're part of a youth group at church that meets every week, or maybe you help on the tech team during the service or something like that. Whatever it might be, how many hours outside of class does that take, that commitment of yours, okay? Then what family commitments do you have? Maybe you have, chores that you have to do at your family, or are there things that you're expected to do at home on a regular basis? Maybe your family does a game night every Thursday night. I don't know. Whatever it might be, put it on there. How many hours does that take you? In the middle section, here are the classes you're planning on taking. How many hours are they going to take outside of school? And especially for AP and honors courses, you've got those contracts. It'll tell you exactly how many hours that is, right? Co-curriculars, sports, drama, any clubs that you're in. Maybe you work out regularly. You're part of you have a gym membership or something, and you go 3 times a week. I don't know, whatever it is, right? It's related to that. How many hours is that going to take? And then at the bottom is just other. Notice the first thing, and I already filled it in there for you guys. Sleep. Yeah, you need it, and at least 7 hours a night. Right, that's what you should be getting, right? And then right below that, hanging out with friends. You need to schedule time to do that kind of thing, right? So then you add up all those hours, right? This is what I'm trying to do outside of school on purpose. And that leads us to the second page there, which is the purpose weekly schedule. So that gray area in the middle, that's when you're here. So all of those things that you put on the left-hand side, you can't schedule them during those blocks of time. We all get the same number of hours a week, right? That's what we're given. How are you going to fit it all in there? So take some time, map that out to make sure that you're not overloading yourself or overextending yourself either with your classes that you're signing up for or your outside school commitments too, okay? Again, you don't need to turn that into us, but that's how you're supposed to use that. Okay, graduation requirements, just so you remember what they are, and they are in the course catalog too, in case you forget some of these. You flipped, I think it's the second page there. But here they are. You need a total of 25 credits to graduate. 1 credit equals 1 year, essentially, right? So you need 4 credits of Bible, you need 4 credits of English. You need 3 credits of social studies. So if you've taken world history, US history, and another social studies, might have been human geography, maybe if you transferred here, you may have taken government economics, something like that at another school, and you've got your 3 credits, then you're good. But you can always take more. That's just the minimum, right? 3 credits of social studies, you need 4 credits of math. Same kind of thing. If you came in here with Algebra 1 in 8th grade, like you had a middle school credit for Algebra 1, okay, well, you might be done with math. Now, that being said, if you were taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade, you were probably a little ahead in math, and colleges are going to want to see that, you push yourself and take that 5th year. So just kind of be thinking about that too. But 4 credits is the minimum to graduate here. And then it's 4 credits of science. I'll talk more about the science graduation requirement in a second. You need 3 credits of world language, at least 2 of which need to be the same language. Okay, so you can't take, for example, a year of Spanish, a year of Latin, and a year of ASL. That wouldn't work. Now you could have 2 of Spanish and 1 of ASL, or all 3 of Latin or something like that. But you've got to have 3, at least 2 in the same language. And the general rule of thumb, if you're being successful at a world language, your grades are good and you're enjoying it, it's always better to continue taking that. That looks much better on your college applications if you do that, okay? Then you need 1 credit of fine arts. Now, that could either be 1 full year class or 2 one-semester classes. Same thing, okay? So 1 credit of fine arts, and again, you can always take more. That's just the minimum. 1 credit of PE, I'll talk more about that in a little bit, and then 1 credit of rhetoric, okay? That's the senior thesis class. You're all going to have rhetoric in your schedule next year, okay? So that's what that is. So those are your 25 credits. All right, a little bit more about the science requirement. To satisfy that, you've got to have biology, which by now you all should have had, chemistry, which at least by the end of this year you should have all had, either physical science, intro to physics and chemistry, or physics. One of those 3, and then another science credit. So those are your 4 that you've got to have. So you want to look back at your transcript if you've forgotten, what are the science classes you've taken? What maybe do you still need to have? Keep in mind, if you're trying to work towards the STEM either certificate or STEM honors seal on your diploma, you may have additional requirements beyond that. Mr. Acker should be coming to talk to you later this week about that if you're in the STEM program. So just keep that in mind, okay? Now, if you haven't taken physical science, physics, or IPC, then you've got to take physics as a senior. So if you took maybe biology and then chemistry, and then maybe this year you took anatomy, just as an example, next year you got to have physics. Okay, so just be aware of that. All right? Now for PE, to satisfy that requirement, you must have had health, which hopefully all of you have had health by now. That's a 1 semester class. If you've not already had it, I would highly recommend you go over the summer, because it's really a fresh class, and it can be really difficult to schedule that in a senior schedule. So if you haven't taken it, please take it over the summer. Now, personal fitness is the other half of 1 year PE requirement. You can meet several ways. One, you can take the class, the first class. You can participate in 2 seasons of Mount Bethel athletics, and it's qualifying Mount Bethel athletics. For example, archery, love archery, nothing wrong with it. That doesn't count for this. That's not what we call an active PE class. You're kind of standing there and shooting an arrow, right? Might be what we're talking about. Most of our athletic teams do qualify, but not all of them. So just be careful with that. Or you could take another PE class like strength and conditioning, or next year PE class we're offering you lifetime sports. So you can take that too. Okay? So just be aware of that. I don't know why that's already there. But health and personal finance on the beach. So if you haven't taken health or personal finance, maybe that's an elective you're interested in taking, but you haven't taken it yet, you can take those over the summer. We're offering those over the summer. So health is required for you guys for graduation. Personal finance is not. However, all graduating classes after you, personal finance is required. So that's why we're offering it over the summer. So you can take it over the summer if you're interested. Classes begin Monday the 2nd of June. They continue through Friday, July 18th. So it's most of the summer, not all of it. They are completely online. So that's what I mean about health and personal finance being on the beach. You can take them anywhere you've got internet access, right? The cost is $275. That will include the textbook. If you're interested in either of those, then placed on the registration form that says summer courses, write either health or personal finance in there, and you can sign up for that class. All right, study hall unassigned. So all rising seniors are going to have 2 semesters of either study hall or unassigned pre-printed on their registration form. That doesn't mean you have to take study hall or unassigned if you don't want to, but we just pre-printed there. We pre-printed there for you so that you know which one you're approved for. So study hall, when we say that, that means you've got to report to a classroom and stay in that classroom for study hall. Okay. Unassigned means, I mean, you check in with his driver, but then you can basically be in the commons, you know, whatever, right? Okay. So next slide, if you would, please. Thank you. All right. So you don't have to check in with the teacher, but you can be in the commons, things like that. Now, some people are self-aware enough to know that if they're near their friends, that they're not actually going to be able to study or pay attention or do anything like that. It's going to be a waste of time. So there are some seniors who say, you know what, I know my teacher's well, I'm distracted, I'm going to take a study hall and I'll take a so those you are allowed to do that. Okay. Now, whether you're approved for unassigned or not, it's based on your conduct, it's based on your attendance, including like the number of tardies you have, and it's based on your grades. If you miss on any one of those categories, then you're not going to get unassigned. Now, again, if you don't want study hall or unassigned, you just cross off your form. We just pre-print it there so you know which one you're approved for, okay? But you don't have to take it. And again, if you have unassigned pre-printed, you'd rather have study hall, just cross off right study hall. But if you, this is the only time you can do that, if you cross put study hall, you're not going to get to go back at a later date. It's a one-way ticket, right? Now, if you have study hall pre-printed on your form and you want it unassigned, you got to go see Ms. Salazar to find out why you weren't approved. That doesn't mean it's going to change. She'll at least let you know, yeah, this is why you weren't approved. Okay? All right. Course registration week starts next week, Monday, March 10th, in your community time study hall, because you don't have Compass, obviously, until Tuesday. You're going to get your course registration form, and it will look something like this. It is a little different than what it's looked like in years past. I want you to be aware of that. So this is just a sample student here. Notice that any core classes for this student are going to be pre-printed on that form, right? And notice everything's on there twice, because we're looking for, you've got 8 classes each semester, right? So our magic number we're looking for is 16. You have a total of 16 classes, right? But your English class, well, you have that whole semester, so that's going to show up twice. It's for the fall, it's for the spring. Why it shows up that way. Make sure you pay attention to any notes at the top of the page. These will be personalized to you. So, for example, this says you need one more science class to graduate. Make sure you pay attention to that. Because if you don't sign up for a science class, it's not going to graduate. It's very simple. So if you haven't, not all of you will have notes. So if you have one, make sure you pay attention to that. Okay. Also at the top of the page, you're going to see the number of electives you still need, remembering that the magic number is 16, but also remembering that not everyone is advanced in math. We even put it there for you. So this person currently has 12 courses pre-printed on their schedule. They need 4 more, right? That's how many they need to fill in. So now from here, you need to pick electives. So you have a total of 16 classes. Well, how do we do that? Well, you should have that elective option sheet. That's the green sheet that you have with you, and a course catalog. So the elective option sheet lists every elective that a senior is eligible to take, which is a lot of things, obviously. Okay. Pay attention, though, to which electives require a teacher's signature. So here's a little snippet from that page that you have. So we offer psychology. So here's how you read that. Course number on the left there, psychology. Notice there's a Y next to the psychology. That means it's a year-long class. So it would count as 2 of your 16, right? If it has an S there, it means it's a semester class, and it would only count as 1 of your 16, right? So for psychology, that's in the social studies department. Notice it has A. That means you don't need a signature. If you want to take it, you just write it on your form. Boom, done. But the one right below it, AP Psychology, it also has a Y. Well, you're going to need a contract for that, right? Because it's an AP class. So who do you need to see for the contract? It's actually me in this case. Not because I'm teaching AP Psychology, but because Dr. Bolton is only here, you know, just to teach her class. And so she's kind of hard to find in the middle of the day. So I'm taking care of that on her behalf, right? So make sure you pay attention to which classes need a teacher signature, and also figure out which teacher you need to see to get that signature too. Right? So again, if you want to take psychology, you just write it down. If you want to take AP psychology, then you need to see me so I can give you the contract and all of that jazz. All right, so back to our sample student here. What he has chosen to do is to take Honors Art Studio and Anatomy Honors. Now, both of those classes are year-long classes, so he wrote them both on there twice. Okay, once for the fall, once for the spring. But remember, it's a good thing that he put anatomy on here because he still needed a science to graduate. So if he had turned this form in without a science, he's going to be having a little trip down to my office or Ms. Bix's office saying, hey, this ain't going to work. What are we going to do differently, right? So make sure you pay attention to that kind of thing. And be sure also that you get your signatures for courses that require them. These are 2 courses, both of which require a teacher signature, okay? So there's Ms. Coordinator's and Ms. Hendrick's signature there, okay? Now, for each elective, though, you want to be sure to choose an alternate. We're going to do our best to get you in all of your first choices, especially since you're seniors. But every once in a while, it just doesn't work. Right? Now, last year in the entire school, there were only 13 kids that didn't get everything they wanted. And we're really proud of that. We try to keep that number as small as possible. But it does happen from time to time. So please just put an alternate there to make sure you get it. Now, why is there not an alternate for anatomy? Well, because anatomy is the science class this kid needs to graduate. So that's it. There's not going to be an alternate for that. But Honors Art is a true elective. That's why he wrote psychology next to Honors Art. Okay, so just make sure you're aware of that. All right, again, if you don't want to take study hall or unassigned, you simply cross it off, replace it with something else. So this student said, yeah, I'll do one of the unassigned, but I'm going to cross the other one off. I want to take lifetime sports. And if I don't get that, my alternate will be strength conditioning. Perfect, no problem there. Okay? Now, if you want to take a class during the summer, there's the section where you would write it in. Okay, right at the bottom, which either health or personal finance or both if you want to. You'd write it in there. Then when you're done, make sure you and your parents sign the form at the bottom. Okay? All right. Now, registration weekend starts Monday, March 10th next week, goes to Friday the 14th. That registration form, signed by both you and your parents, is due to Miss Driver by the 14th. Okay? Any AP or honors contracts you have, also signed by you and your parents, are due with your registration form. Just paper clip them to the back. Okay? All right. Friday the 14th is the last day that you can turn in your form, change your schedule, change your mind, or whatever without some sort of consequence. Now, if you know you're not going to be here next Friday, and you're the kind of person that just loses everything, and you want to turn it in early, that's fine. You can always turn it in early. Okay, but Friday is the last day you'll be able to turn that in. Now, why? Well, let me give you a sense of the master schedule for the school, why we do what we do, and how it works. Every year we build a brand new master schedule, and it's to accommodate your course requests. That's not true, for example, in college. When you go to college, for example, let's say, college will say, all right, we're going to offer physics, let's say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 o'clock, and then Tuesday, Thursday at 1:30. And if that doesn't fit in your schedule, and you need that class, it's tough. You're out of luck. That's not what we do here. We don't decide how many sections of every class we're going to teach and when they are until we hear from you. We want to know, what classes are you wanting to take? And then we decide how many sections to create. So for example, this year there was only one section of anatomy. Well, maybe next year there'll be two. It depends on how many people request the class, right? So that's why we need this information from you. Well, we receive from you guys over 2,800 course requests every year. We employ faculty, we purchase technology, and we assign rooms based on the requests that you give us, right? When you make changes to those after the fact, it negatively impacts everything from how big your classes are, whether we're even offering them. This has happened a couple of times the last 2 years, where we've had an elective that we've offered and maybe only 2 kids signed up for it. So we had to say, well, we can't offer a class with 2 kids. So we end up canceling it. And then 5 kids later, oh, I wanted to take that. It's like, well, why didn't you put it on your form? We've canceled the class now. Right? This is why it's important to take the time now, really think about it, so we can make sure we're offering the classes you want to take. Right? So anyway, back on the form here. Now, sometimes changes are necessary. I get that. So here's how you handle them if you need to make them. So for example, if there's an AP or honors course that you were recommended for, but you don't want to take for whatever reason, all you have to do is cross out the course and write the on-level version next to it. Or in this, you could have written a different class in this case. So this student was recommended for AP US Government, didn't want to take it, they wanted to take the on-level Government and Econ class. That's all you have to do. AP and honors courses are invitation only, but you can always decline the invitation, right? Just as simple as that. However, any other placement changes need to go through the appropriate department chair for whatever department it is that you're talking about. So for example, there's a place down here at the bottom of the form where you have two boxes to check. Either I agree with everything up there, or I have a problem or question about it. So this student checked that second box that I would like to be placed in English literature. They were placed in on-level English 12. Okay, that's all you have to do is check that box. When that form comes in, we'll make sure it gets to in this case, the English department chair, and then you will get an answer before spring break as to whether your request was approved or not. It may not be approved, okay, but you'll at least get more information as to why it was or wasn't or whatever the case may be, okay? So if you have something like that, all you have to do is please don't email me, don't go to your teacher, don't email Ms. Bixel, just check the box at the bottom of the form. And this helps us handle all those questions in a really timely and efficient manner that way. Okay, if you want to change elective courses, well, remember, March 14th, that's the last day to turn in your form without some sort of consequence. Any change you want to make after March 14th to an elective means you lose your place in line. What I mean by that, you go to the bottom of the pile. Okay, so you lose your scheduling priority as a senior. Now you go to the bottom. Okay. Now we'll still try to put you in all the classes you requested. It's not like we're like, oh, heck with you, right? But the problem is some of the more popular classes may be full at that point. So you got to be just aware of that. If you still want to go ahead and do this, just come see me to make that change. Okay. Now, once we get to August 1st, start of the new school year, we only approve adds, drops, or emergencies. So an add would be, I have a study hall on my schedule. Maybe I was going to play football and I don't know, decided not to for whatever reason. So I want to go ahead and just take an elective instead. You're replacing like a study hall with a class. You're adding a class. Okay, if there's room in the class and it fits in your schedule, we'll make that change. A drop is, well, I wasn't going to play football, now I decided I want to. Boy, I really need a study hall. So you're trying to drop an elective for a study hall. Okay, we make that change. Or an emergency. I'll talk more about those in a little bit. These are only for electives, not for core classes. So we don't move from honors or AP to on-level or vice versa at that point, okay? And we only do this until day 5 of the semester. So blue, gold, blue. Third blue day, we don't do these anymore, okay? Now, over the years, students have had a little bit of difficulty understanding what I mean by the word emergency. They have a tendency to think that anything in their life is an emergency and therefore should count. So I'm here to clarify this for you, what would constitute as an emergency. Now, here's an example of a valid reason for an emergency schedule. I had knee surgery, so I'm not able to participate in the PE class I'm taking. I need to switch to a different elective. Okay, here we are in March. If all of a sudden you're having knee surgery in September, my guess is that here in March, you didn't know that was going to happen and you signed up for a PE class and now you can't take it because you just had surgery. That's an emergency. We would make a change for that. Okay, here are some examples of invalid reasons, all of which we have received over the years. And this could go on and on. This is a non-comprehensive list. I just selected some of them for emergency schedule changes that are not actually emergency. I didn't sign up for strength and conditioning, but now my coach wants me to take it. If you play a sport, now is the time to go talk to your coach and figure out whether they want you to take strength and conditioning. I will say, as the volleyball program director, I love for my volleyball players to take it if they can fit it in their schedule. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. Okay, but there you go. Well, now you know for volleyball. But for whatever sport you might play, go talk to your coach. Now is the time to answer that question. Okay? My teacher is so fill in the blank. Be nice to your teacher. Maybe pay attention, behave in class, don't be a jerk. That might improve. That would be my suggestion there, but we're changing schedules to that. I didn't know that AP Pre-Cal would be so much work. Yeah, you did, because we gave you the contract which spelled out exactly what was involved in that class. If you didn't read it before you signed it, that's on you. That's the reason to change the schedule. I want to drop AP English because I didn't do the summer reading. It's not a reason to drop a class, y'all. You know you're going to have summer reading, particularly in AP English, okay? All of my hard classes are on the same day. When we put the schedule together, we can't factor that in because what some students might think is a hard class, another student might think is an easy class, and vice versa. And actually, some students prefer this because then they have sort of a hard day and an easy day. So they have kind of a day to recover from the hard day for the next day. Some actually prefer it that way. Not a reason we can just schedule it. Okay, I want to drop Spanish 4 because my teacher speaks in Spanish. Here's a hint. If you've made it to Spanish 4, your teacher's going to be speaking in Spanish. I mean, that's just a thing, right? So be ready for that. I'm playing a sport after high school play, and I have a part-time job. I need to study hard. Well, if it's within the first 5 days of the semester, yes, we can do that because we do allow drops until day 5. But when it gets to like September, October, I gotta be, it's too late at that point. Okay, I just got my schedule and I have study hall first or fourth block. Now I want to take back unassigned. No, if you decided, if you had unassigned, you were approved for it, you said, no, I really need to study hall, I need to focus, whatever, great. But just because you happen to have a first or fourth block doesn't mean we're switching it back, okay? So keep that in mind. I'm so close to getting the Hope Scholarship, so I need to add an academic elective to raise my Hope GPA. I want to add psychology. Hopefully you guys have already all had your junior college meetings or are about to. Factor that in. If you're close to Hope, that should be factored into the decisions you're making about what classes you want to sign up for. But it's not something we do after that. Okay? All right, let's see who's paying attention. So it's trivia time. There are prizes. I want you to know. But you have to raise your hand. You can't just blurt it out. All right, so who's been paying attention? Well, I gotta ask a question. You'd want them. All right. So here you go. First question. Raise your hand if you know the answer. When will you receive the red form and when is it due, Sam? Yeah. You. Outstanding. Good job. All right. I wasn't placing you at AP US History, but I want to be. What should I do? No, I can't accept that answer. How? Check the box at the bottom of the form. Check the box at the bottom of the form. That's right. Susie didn't get a signature for Intro to Art. Is she at the bottom of the file? Why? Oh, actually, that is not the correct answer. That's not the correct answer, Trip. No, that is not the correct answer. Yeah. She would be, but that class doesn't require a signature. Ooh, trick question. So no, she's good. All right. How many courses do we process every year? Oh, not quite. Right. 2,800. There you go. Good job. All right. And who do you need to see to find out why you don't get assigned, Miss Brooks? Sorry. Miss Salazar is correct. There you go. All right. So just the key takeaways as you leave here. Take this seriously. Make sure you're looking at the big picture. Be sure you get signed what needs to be signed and turn your stuff in on time. Okay? If you have any questions, feel free to come by. I'm happy to help. Lunches, hamburgers. Enjoy. Sports you can play for a lifetime. So like tennis, golf, badminton, bowling, stuff like that. And hey, it's in the course catalog, Peter. Yeah. Well, here. I have it.